It's time for a business update now. Brian Quinn is with me in studio. Brian, we're going to start with that ongoing threat of a trade war over Donald Trump's tariffs on metal imports.
That's right. Trump has once again accused the EU of imposing unfair barriers to trade. U.S. Commerce Secretary Wilbur Ross will be overseeing discussions with the European Union as it seeks to be added to the list of economies that will be exempted from America's punishing new tariffs on steel and aluminum. Laurent Berstecker reports.
Refusing to give in to trade bullies, the EU said it was ready to respond to controversial tariffs set by Donald Trump with restrictions of its own.
We don't like wars. We've got all bad experiences with wars, but of course we must be ready for any kind of countermeasures if it is confirmed that there is too much aggressivity from the other side.
The dispute was sparked by Trump's announcement last week that the U.S. would impose a 25% tariff on imported steel and a 10% tax on aluminum imports. In an attempt to diffuse tensions, the EU's trade commissioner met with her U.S. counterpart on Saturday, but the two sides were unable to reach an agreement. And on Monday, Donald Trump continued to accuse the EU of imposing unfair restrictions.
Secretary of Commerce Wilbur Ross will be speaking with representatives of the European Union about eliminating the large tariffs and barriers they use against the USA, not fair to our farmers and manufacturers.
Despite the escalation, Brussels still hopes it can strike a deal exempting it from the new tariffs, something which Mexico and Canada have already managed, even if the conditions under which these exemptions were given remain unclear. The EU has also prepared a list of U.S. products it would hit with new tariffs if Donald Trump refuses to make concessions.
Well, trade war is generally bad news for trading in the stock markets. How are they looking?
Well, Asian markets mixed in Tuesday, trading as shares in major steel producers in the region saw steep losses. Investors also looking ahead to U.S. inflation data due out later in the day as a bellwether for policy decisions at the Federal Reserve there. Japan's Nikkei closing up 0.2%, the Kospi in Korea up around 0.4%. Chinese indexes down, Hong Kong's Hang Seng off around 1/3%, and the Shanghai Composite down 0.5%.
Let's turn to Mexico now, and there's the emergence of a leftist frontrunner for upcoming elections that has the business community on edge.
That's right. Andres Manuel Lopez Obrador, AMLO for short, has been leading opinion polls by a wide margin for weeks now as Mexico gears up for its next presidential election in July. The former mayor of Mexico City has sought to reassure investors recently, promising a crackdown on corruption, but without nationalizing or expropriating private assets. But it's his plan to scrap New Mexico City airport and review oil and gas exploration contacts that have business leaders worried. The country's powerful CCE business lobby is warning that policy uncertainty could damage investment.
As we've said, you can't ask the private sector to take part in building a better country and at the same time undermine the certainty and the rule of law, which are conditions for fostering investment. For this reason, we businessmen demand guarantees that the contracts awarded under the energy reform and for the new airport will be respected. In a country governed by the rule of law, contracts are honoured.
Let's take a look at some more of today's top business headlines now. President Donald Trump has blocked the planned takeover of U.S. chipmaker Qualcomm by Singapore-based rival Broadcom on national security grounds. The executive order is based on concerns that the merger could give China the upper hand in mobile communications as new 5G network technology begins to emerge. Qualcomm had earlier rejected Broadcom's $117 billion merger offer. China plans to create a powerful new regulatory agency to oversee the country's banking and insurance industries. The move comes as the ruling Communist Party seeks to reduce structural risk amid a massive buildup in public and private debt. China's insurance industry has been battered by recent corruption scandals, with regulators seizing Anbang Insurance Group in February. And Uber is planning its return to Barcelona. The ride-hailing service was forced to shut down there some 3 years ago in the face of taxi union protests over its Uber Pop service that used non-professional drivers. Uber says it plans a fully licensed service for Barcelona using professional drivers to comply with all local laws.
And finally, for this business update, a new home could soon be as easy to get as pressing the print button.
Almost, perhaps. We'll see. The annual South by Southwest Interactive Tech Conference wraps up today in Austin, Texas. Among the highlights this year, the first 3D printed house that is officially up to code. New Story, that's a charity that builds houses in developing countries, partnered with Austin robotics company Icon to show off a proof of concept for a 74 square meter house printed in concrete. The house does still need workers to install the roof, windows, plumbing, and electricity, but it's currently able to be duplicated and fully kitted out within 24 hours for around $10,000. The company plans to get that down to 6 hours and $4,000. $4,000 for 74 square meters. Given Paris prices, Eve, that sounds pretty good to me. Honestly.
Yeah, I wouldn't even get you a parking spot in
Nope.
Paris.
Nope.
And I have to say, it looks as sturdy as anything else.
Why not? I'd give it a shot.
Yeah, one of the advantages of 3D printing. Brian Quinn, thanks a lot for that business update.